Rockabye baby. Oh, hello. Shh, shh, be quiet. We've got a new arrival. It's more audio we're going to introduce you to. Really don't want to wake him up. He gets quite rowdy. Rita, come have a look what I've got. Look at this.
What?
It's all right. Don't panic. I didn't buy it off the internet or do anything crazy. A nice man from the northeast of England sent it to me.
Let me see.
Yeah, look. Oh, it's so cute. You're so cute. You're so tiny and cute. Oh, yeah. Yes, you are. Hello and welcome back to Small Room Audio. Today we're reviewing the smallest pair of speakers ever to grace our review studios. That is the Neat Iotas. Now I know what you're thinking, they're small so they're going to sound small. And I'd say, yeah, I thought that too to begin with, but actually you're wrong. They sound big, bold and brilliant, and they have just a bit of magic about them, and let's find out what that magic is. So, they're pretty quirky, and you know, I like quirky speakers because they all sort of blend into one another, don't they, in the market? Not these. They have 4-inch woofer and they have a planar tweeter. Binding post on the back, pretty standard, and a small port, but it sits horizontally, not vertically. And also there's some little mounting bolts on the back, which is a really handy feature to have as well. But look at them, they're just different and cool. I really like them. The Iotas can be bought in a range of colours, red, yellow, blue, etc. And there's a genuine sense of fun in the way they've been designed, and the fact that they're just different to the competition. It's not too difficult to drive either. You need probably at least 50 solid state watts to really get them going, but they're quite amenable to most amplifiers. Right then, so what does it sound like? Before we go into the details, let's take a moment to talk about the Neat way of doing things. And given the unusual design of them, you probably won't be too surprised to hear that they do things a little bit differently over at Neat. The top dog is a gentleman named Bob Surgener. Now he is a musician and he trusts his ears. So he sits down and he tunes all of his speakers holistically, just using those ears from a lifetime of being a musician to think what sounds good and what doesn't. Then over to the product team afterwards to get out the computers and all the frequency graphs just to check that everything is all okay. This is just completely different to what you might expect a speaker company to do, but the output of it is that they've created a very natural sound, something that really is satisfying and delivers that kind of, I don't want to use the word musical, but I'm going to. It sounds really musical. So the sound in detail, let's kind of unpick that horribly audiophile word, musical. What does it mean? Well, look, you've got superb driver integration. It's like a point source. It's absolutely seamless with a very natural progression through the frequency range. Nothing is too tipped up or kind of, pitched up in a way that makes it feel like it's throwing sound at you in an unnatural way. The star of the show though has to be that planar tweeter. It's fast, detailed, dynamic, yet never fatiguing. You get good snap and immediacy. And no matter what the musical genre or recording quality, it just kind of plays really engaging, enjoyable music. I listen to a lot of albums and tracks all the way through from start to finish, and that's quite unusual for me when I'm kind of reviewing something because I want to flip around, but here it drew me in and I just didn't stop listening. The Soundstage, we should probably talk about that. It is very impressive. There's a load of width. I wouldn't say there's so much depth and height, but certainly that width is really, really nice and you get good imaging in between. If I was to give it an analogy in a cinema sense, it's more of an IMAX experience. You've got that big, wide screen in front of you, but you haven't necessarily put on the 3D glasses and got a holographic presentation. Somehow Neat have managed to imbue the mid-range with heft. There's solidity to the sound. It's not lacking, it's not gutless. And the way it kind of deals with cello and piano is really well realized. There's this kind of element of when you listen to it thinking, I'm not shortchanged here because it's small. I'm not shortchanged here at all. I'm actually getting something that sounds just like that sort of, piano that might be in the room with you. There's enough in the upper bass region and the lower mids to make do with the fact that you're not getting the low frequencies in. And that's okay because what you're getting in return is rhythm and drive, toe tapping speakers that draw you in and get the groove on. There's a bit of boogie factor here. I was surprised really at how good something so small could sound, how big it could sound relative to its size. I've got to say about speaker positioning, because this is really important with these speakers. You need to make sure they're quite close to the wall. If you put them out into the room, they do lose that kind of mid-range heft and the tone does get a little thinner. So having them about 10-15 centimeters away from that back wall and then 50 centimeters away from the side walls does give you the optimal performance in my view. Also, they are not analytical speakers, which isn't necessarily a weakness, more of an observation. So if you want more precision in imaging, want to pull that music apart, you probably want to explore something more like the KEF LS50 Meta, although those speakers are slightly more expensive and definitely aren't as easy to plug and play with a front end as the Iotas are. The Tiny Neats are more about capturing the heart of music rather than the science of music. I think that's my way of saying they're more musical than analytical, but for some reason we're not allowed to say those words anymore because everyone seems to hate them. Anyway, look, you can use it with any sort of amplification, A, B, D, tubes, they sing. As long as there's enough power to really push them. And as I said before, 50 watts is kind of what you want. The Neats, well, they're a great pairing with an exposure amplifier that I've got in, the XM5 integrated. This is slightly warm on, well, just slightly warm to neutral, and they've got a smoothness to them. And what I really like about the XM5 is that it focuses on rhythm again. So you've got the really rhythmic drive from the Neats and the really rhythmic drive from the exposure, and it makes a great pairing because it doesn't highlight any of the weaknesses and it just amplifies all of the strength. It really is a killer combination for a desk or a study or a small room for around £2,000. Really is a recommended pairing. There's great synergy there. Speakers come and go, right? Especially when you review them, and you sort of remember them for what they sound like. And I definitely will remember the Iotas for what they sound like, but also remember it for their personality. They're unique, they've got charm. That's the word, they've got charm. These Neat Iotas charmed me, and for under £1,000, I definitely recommend you check them out. So that concludes our Neat Iota review. If you liked it and want to see some more, please do like and subscribe, and we'll see you back here very soon.